Nonprofit organizations are particularly vulnerable to theft and fraud. And the reason why is because the very nature and the name of those organizations, nonprofit, means that they're not necessarily trying to maximize their net profit. And there's an article we'll pull up here in a minute from the Washington Post, which shows how nonprofits are particularly stolen from, embezzled from, and it can be undetected because they may not have the resources to have fraud prevention, to have the same type of financial controls. A for-profit company that has more resources can often hire outside consultants. They can have 2 or 3 bookkeepers, maybe a controller and an accountant that will do these cross controls to prevent theft and fraud. But in the world of nonprofits, what happens is you get companies which may not have the same depth of financial observation. You may not have the same depth of maybe even experience with the executives. Records and interviews reveal the full story. An estimated $3.4 million loss for one nonprofit, right? And they were businesses that had all kinds of different nonprofit status. They had different purposes in the nonprofit world, but they all had the same thing. They may be trying to run thin with resources, maybe having a part-time bookkeeper, maybe having somebody who's not formally a bookkeeper do some of the accounting. Maybe sometimes you have to hire less qualified employees because you can't offer the same higher salaries that a for-profit company can. More importantly, many nonprofits are more focused on the deliverable of the charitable resource they're providing to the community and not so much as running a healthy company. So nonprofits are particularly vulnerable. The good news is most of these frauds, if not all of them, could be prevented with very simple observation of KPIs. There are things you can do in-house. There are things you can automate with very inexpensive type resources. Technology these days for artificial intelligence can make these observations of frauds very, very simple. It's not something you have to spend thousands of dollars for. There's a very simple few $100 pieces of technology that are out there in the marketplace that can prevent fraud by just looking at very simple number changes on your P&L or on your balance sheet that will indicate where to look for fraud. And if you see those, then you can look further. Also, some cross controls with employees. Even if somebody is not necessarily a financial person, having them look at a set of numbers to make sure they add up correctly will be a way to keep your nonprofit from being a non-company.